My name is Beyhan. I am an SAP consultant and welcome to our last video in Vue series. In first video tutorial and blog, we have seen how to create a Vue.js app with Visual Studio Code and how to publish it and how to deploy it to the SAP Netweaver BSP Stack. If you have completed this tutorial, that means now you have a Vue app running on SAP. So let's check if you have this on SAP. If you go to BSP applications, you should have the Vue Abap app under BSP applications, and also you should have a service with the same name. If you copy this one, and if you go to the transaction SICF, and if you enter service name here, you should see exact same service here. Under UI5 and SAP, you just right click here and test service. You should be able to see this page, which will be running from SAP web server, which is SAP Netweaver BSP Stack. And if you have completed the restapi, now you should have a restapi endpoint on services as well. And here, if you write zrest and search it, you should see this restapi call service. If I click here and test service, I should see this error page. And if I just write correct URL with capital R and S, now I get a proper output. That means now our Vue.js app and the REST service are both working fine. Now we are in the final step. We will see how we can consume this REST API from Vue. And it's quite easy. If you go to your Visual Studio Code and just go to Hello World Vue, just delete all the content and paste all the content from the blog post here. I will be sharing the blog URL under the description as usual, so you can just copy and paste it too. Just paste it, save it, and now we need to build our application. Make sure that you are in the application folder, and I will run npm run build. Build is complete. I will just run my server with npm run server. So our server is running. What will happen is here we have changed our Vue app, and now instead of having some initial home screen, we will have a few divs. Here it says it is returning the datetime field of an object, and here all the response that we are getting from the REST API. And here there is a button. If we click, it will call getDateTime method. If we go back to here to methods of the Vue, it is getDateTime is calling this URL, which is our SAP server URL, and it is passing a query string parameter. Request parameter contains a JSON object which will be parsed on the REST API endpoint on the SAP side, and then if the response comes, we will be getting response to the response object and the R object as well. It will be parsed by the JSON parse, so we will get the JSON object as proper object, JavaScript object here, and we will be just showing them here. So, and also on the page load, on the created method is called, it is like the onload method of HTML. And we are calling this getDateTime method directly. So if we just open the page, we should be able to see the REST API output from our SAP server. I will copy this URL and I will go to Chrome. I will open a new tab, I will paste it and enter. As you can see, it just says loading because we got a course issue with the Google Chrome. If I go to inspect, here in the console it says course policy and it fails. To disable course policy, we just need to create a new shortcut for the Google Chrome, and in the shortcut parameters we will be disabling course on the Google Chrome. So we just need to pass this disable web security, and we just need to give any folder here and just click OK. If I go to this browser with disabled course and if I pass the URL, then I will just provide my SAP username and password. Done. It is working just fine. Now we will publish this one to the SAP server. We are going back to Visual Studio Code. I will stop server npm, and here I will just publish it with npx nw abap upload. You can find these commands and explanations on blog as well. And let's check if it's published. It is published. Now I will just close this one. I don't need course. We won't have any course issue this time once I refresh the page, because the page is served from the SAP and the REST API is also on SAP. So there's no issue for course. I will just click reload. As you can see, new page is here. If I click refresh, it is just changing. See? And I will put a debug point to show you what's happening here. So if I go to here to the package under Z-REST, if you don't remember what is the class of the restapi endpoint, you need to go to services. And here in services, you need to go to handler list. And you can just copy this one. You can just open this one with SE24. And here in the source code, you can see it is going to get root handler and it's calling this class if the request is coming from /rest. So if you open this class, and we are making get calls, that means all the requests are directed to this class, this method of this class. So I double click in this one. I just put a debug point here, external breakpoint, and I will click just refresh. We are in the debugger mode now. We got our response. Press F8. That's it. That's actually how you can simply do REST calls with Vue.js and how you can deploy it to the SAP. Instead of Fiori and oData, you can simply use this restapi with MVC1 routing. If you want, you can make it much more automated rather than hard coding the request IDs to the controller. And I think it is much more practical, and Vue is much more elegant compared to Fiori. Fiori is getting better and better day by day, and it's a preferred way of development in SAP, but still you have options. You can use any kind of JavaScript framework. I hope this video was useful for you. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to click like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.